Hello everybody, welcome to Canvas tutorial. I am Arindam and this is the special topic for your GATE 2021. It's a newly added topic. If you haven't watched my previous video, I have already uploaded that what are the new topics which are important from your GATE 2021 perspective, and I will make these kind of special videos one by one along with your the sequential crash course videos. You know that I am already uploading videos on organic, inorganic and physical chemistry. Since these past 7 days I have already uploaded regularly videos in my YouTube channel, and I hope you have already followed these videos, you have already watched those videos. And this is a completely new topic. It's a Ray-Dutt and Baylor twist. Today we are going to discuss about that. But before going to start, I want to say that if you are new to my channel, then please subscribe to my channel, and if you like this video, then please share. And your appreciation is nothing but the motivation for my work. Anyway, so without a further ado, I am going to start today's lecture, and this is about the complex chemistry. It's an inorganic topic, and this kind of twist is observed in case of the coordination compound, or rather the octahedral coordination compound having 3 bidentate ligands. Okay, so 3 bidentate identical ligands. You can see that over here. This is the molecular formula, basic molecular formula of this kind of coordination compound. In this case, this M implies a central metal ion, and the AA is nothing but your identical bidentate ligand. This could be your ethylene diamine, okay, ethylene diamine ligand like this one. This could be your BPY ligand, bipyridyl ligand. So this is the structure of the bipyridyl ligand. So these are the donor centers, okay. So this kind of bidentate ligands are used. Anyway, so this Ray-Dutt and Baylor twist is observed in case of the octahedral complex where the isomerization is taking place. Okay, over here I am showing these two isomers of this compound. Now over here, if I draw the structure of this MAA3 type molecule, so it is something like this. Now you must remember the thing is that whenever a bidentate ligand is present, that will be always adding in the cis fashion. Okay, it's not possible that this metal is there and one donor center is present over here and another one is present here, and this kind of donation, that is a trans donation is not favorable. Okay, so always the cis addition is occurring, cis joining, the connectivity will always be cis connectivity. Clear? So this is actually depicted. Whatever I have written here, I am just showing it in this configuration, 3D structure. And if you follow that, this is the central metal, and these blue colored balls are nothing but your ligand. These are the donor atoms of the ligand. So this is one bidentate ligand which is showed over here in the red ink. This one is showed over here in the green ink, and in the blue color joining I am showing over here the third bidentate ligand. Now if you consider its corresponding isomer, over here you can see that over here this red link, now the linking is something different, and this is the blue link and it is the green link. So these are 3 equivalent bidentate ligands are present. Now the matter is that these two are nothing but your optical isomers. So these two are your optical isomers. And what is the experimental finding? Experimental finding, what you can see, that these two isomers are present in 1:1 mixture. So they are present as 1:1 mixture, and when two enantiomers are present in 1:1 mixture, then you can easily say that that is nothing but the racemization. In the SN1 reaction mechanism, I have already given you this idea that whenever this plus and minus, this two enantiomeric pairs, or the R or S, this kind of two enantiomers are present in 1:1 mixture, then they are actually forming the racemic. And the process by which these two racemic mixtures you can obtain is the racemization. Now point is that when you take one molecule or one isomer, you are automatically getting the other one, and the 1:1 mixture is obtained with the help of this kind of equilibrium. So that is a very interesting feature, and over here the concept of twist is occurring. That means this kind of racemization, or the, you can see that it is basically the isomerization process, is taking place in this kind of octahedral complexes via twist. And from the name of the two twist, you can easily say that Redath and Baylor twist are nothing but two cases of this twist. Clear? Fine. So now over here I am just showing these two molecules or two isomers in a different angle. Over here what you can see that when you visualize from this triangular face, okay, so now your eyes is present in this way. Here your eyes is present, you are watching from this face. So you are watching from that triangular face, and so what you can see that suppose this position is position 1, this is position 2, and this is position 3. So you are watching from this, so this is your top face, okay, this face is written over here, top face, and this vertex, and these are the three vertices, so this is your 1, 2, and 3. Clear? And now your another triangular face which is actually present in the below, okay, so now you can give the similar kind of numbering over here. So it is suppose your 1 dot, 1 dash, 2 dash, and 3 dash. So when you visualize from this side, you will see 1 dash over here, 2 dash over here, and 3 dash over here. And as you can see, in this case the linkage or the connectivity between 1 and 1 dot, okay, over here between 2 and 2 dot, and here between 3 and 3 dot. So 1 and 1 dot connectivity is along the red line, and here I am showing it. 2 and 2 dot are connected via green line, here it is shown, and 3 and 3 dot are connected via blue line, which is shown over here. Clear? The similar kind of observation you can see over here. So this is a triangular face, okay, and I am just keeping the numbering same, 1, 2, 3, and 1 dash, sorry, 1 dash, 2 dash, and it is your 3 dash. Clear? Now in this case what you can see, there is a linker between 1 and 2, and if you start numbering, so it is 1, it is 2, it is 3, and it is 1 dash, 2 dash, and 3 dash. Now in this new arrangement you can easily see the linkage is between the 1 and 2 dash via red linkage or red color, I am showing it, 1 dash and 3 dash via blue color, and 2 dash and 2 and 3 dash via this green color, okay, it is shown over here. Now if you write it in a more simple way, you can find that I am just showing over here the top face, this is the top face, and all the linkages are, I am showing it via the red linkage, so that it is much easier to you to depict that. Now from this diagram what you can see, this is another depiction of the octahedral geometry, and this octahedral geometry is basically a trigonal antiprism geometry. Because how can you say that? If you consider a prism, this is the trigonal prism, okay, this is the structure of the trigonal prism. Now if you rotate, suppose you are rotating one triangular face in such a way that now your new triangular face is like this one, and the below position which was present in the below is now is just unchanged, and this kind of arrangement is nothing but your trigonal anti-prismatic arrangement, okay, this is the trigonal anti-prismatic geometry, and this is a basically octahedral geometry. if you see the octahedral geometry from from one face, you can see that it is nothing but a trigonal antiprism geometry, where two triangular faces are just opposite to each other. Okay, now here I am just giving you that idea that octahedral is nothing but your trigonal antiprism, ultimate two isomers having the same octahedral geometry. That means both of them are nothing but your trigonal antiprism. Now they are just interchanging with each other via a intermediate, which is the trigonal prismatic intermediate. So you can think that either of these two triangular face, either from, you can consider the above face or the below face, it is just rotating. It was initially a trigonal antiprism, that means two are in opposite direction inverted. Now you are rotating either of them so that they actually come in the same plane and same eclipsed configuration. So when these two triangular faces come in the eclipsed configuration, they are basically forming the trigonal prism configuration. Okay, so you can think like that. Now trigonal prism is a geometry of that intermediate. This is clear. Now the matter is that whenever this kind of twist, this is basically a twisting. Okay, one triangular face is rotating, that means the molecule is bit twisted. Now this kind of old linkage or old connectivity is lost temporarily in the intermediate, which is having a higher energy, that is why it is an intermediate. Now that intermediate state, which has a different kind of linkage or connectivity between the vertices. So due to the different connectivity, you can see that twisting is occurred in such a way that it gives you the D3H point group. Then it is called the Baylor twist. And if the connectivity is such that it is giving you the C2V point group, then you can see that it is nothing but your Ray-Dutt twist. Now both of them has trigonal prismatic conformation but having slightly different connectivity. So this actually leads to the two different point groups. Now point is that if we take a look at this kind of two trigonal prismatic intermediate, suppose you are considering either of the face, it is suppose your 1, 2 and 3, it is your one face and it is your another face, 1 dash, 2 dash and 3 dash. I am just giving the name or numbering arbitrarily so that you can understand. Over here I am giving you the same numbering 1, 2 and 3 and 1 dash, 2 dash and 3 dash. Now don't compare it with my previous numbering because that is completely different. Here I am just giving you this numbering so that it is much easier to you to understand the structure of this intermediate, and you can easily understand the connectivity. In this case, Baylor twist, what you can see over here, 1 to 1 dash connection is present, 2 to 2 dash and 3 to 3 dash. Okay, but it is changed over here because over here 1, 2 are connected and 1 dash and 2 dash are connected, and here 3, 3 connection, 3 and 3 dash each connection is occurring. So due to these two kind of arrangement, what you can see that over here, if you consider the the symmetry elements present in this molecule, you can see that over here in this axis there is a C3 axis. A C3 axis is present. If you rotate the molecule by 120 degree, then you can find the identical structure you can obtain. And in between the structure there is a plane of symmetry which is perpendicular to the C3 axis, and with the perpendicular direction of the C3 axis there are 3 C2 axes. Now I am not going to give you the detail about this kind of structure because this is not understandable to you completely unless I give you the idea about the group chemistry, and there I will give you the idea of the point groups, and I will just solve different molecules and different symmetry elements. You can easily find it out, but for the time being you can understand that when Cn axis is present, which is your principal axis, and perpendicular to that Cn axis there are n number of C2 axes, then you can term that point group as Dn point group. Okay, and along with that, if sigma h plane is present, so you can term that point group as DNH point group. Over here you can see that C3 axis is your principal axis, perpendicular to the C3 axis there are 3 C2 axes, and there is one plane which is the perpendicular with the principal axis, and that is your sigma h plane, and that is why you are getting D3H point group, and D3H point group is obtained for the Baylor twist. Okay. Now over here for the Ray-Dutt twist, you can see that due to the different connectivity, the symmetry elements are different. Over here along this axis, so the middle line of this one midpoint of this face, and you can think that it just cuts this line. So a C2 axis is present. Along with that C2 axis, one sigma plane you can just imagine, and another sigma plane is present in this direction. Okay, in this direction another sigma plane you can visualize. So over here what you can see, that there is one C2 axis and two sigma planes which contains that C2 axis. Now this kind of sigma planes are called the sigma V plane, okay, when it contains the principal axis. So when there is C2 axis and two sigma V planes, okay, now the point group is C2V. Like your Cn axis and n sigma V, you can consider the CNV is the point group. So over here you are getting the point group as CNV or C2V. Now there are some other symmetry elements present, but for the time being it's just okay for your understanding purpose that whenever C2V is present as a point group, so it's the result of the Ray-Dutt twist. Okay, so what is a summary what we have studied so far? So if you consider the summary, you can find it out that first point is that octahedral complex having three equivalent bidentate ligands like your ethylene diamine or the bipyridyl ligand, it undergo isomerization and thereby racemization can take place, because two optical isomers can be present in 1:1 mix as a 1:1 mixture, and as a result of that you can find a racemic mixture is obtained. Now the racemization can take place via twisting. Now the isomerization undergoes via trigonal prismatic intermediate, as we have seen. During this process, old connectivity between the vertices are lost and new connectivity is established, and in the trigonal prismatic intermediate. Over here you can see that depending on the connectivity, okay, depending on the connectivity, two different point groups are obtained, and if the point group is D3H, then it is said to have the Baylor twist, and if you can see that intermediate is having the C2V point group, then it is actually as a result of the Ray-Dutt twist. But matter is that it's not like that only one kind of point group will be there, that means only one kind of twist will be there. There will be two types of twist, but depending on the molecule or the substrate, the one of the twist will be of more lower energy and it will be favorable via that pathway. But it's not like that the other intermediate will not occur. You can trace the other intermediate as well. So it depends upon the molecule to molecule. Clear? So our syllabus, you can see that there was a mention of Baylor twist and Ray-Dutt twist. We have already discussed it so far, but there is one very interesting observation we can just see. It's a reference from a paper by Daniel C. Ashley. It is a journal from the Inorganic Chemistry and ACS publication, and this paper is published on 2018. So they have studied this iron 2 plus complex where the 2,2-dot bipyridyl ligand, which is basically the BPY ligand, was present. So in that molecule they studied the Ray-Dutt and Baylor twist, and they find a very interesting observation that a newer kind of twist they actually see, a completely newer kind of twist they see, and this is termed as the Dunsing-Baylor twist. So what it actually say that this work presents a thorough analysis of the iconic Baylor and Ray-Dutt racemization pathway for this Fe2 plus complex. Okay, but and these are two nothing but your experimental procedure DFT and CASSCF. Now while they were studying this kind of twist, and their expectation was that it will be either your Baylor twist or Ray-Dutt twist, But interestingly, that an alternative of the Redath twist is found to have C3H geometry, a new kind of geometry which is obtained over here, which is present in that the intermediate is same, intermediate is still that trigonal prismatic, but still it has a newer point group which is a C3H point group. The connectivity is different in such a way, and this kind of condition is known as a dancing Baylor twist. Now for earlier case, what we can see, for classical Baylor twist, the intermediate is having D3H point group, and Redath twist there is intermediate having C2V point group. But here we can see that intermediate is having C3H point group, and this is a newer kind of intermediate or newer kind of arrangement you can see. Clear? So it's very interesting finding, and it's a very new current recent year papers, 2018 this paper was published. Now these days if you just follow the previous year's questions from the past 2 or 3 NET or GATE papers, you can see that they actually emphasize over the new findings or new papers. So this reference, I think it could be helpful to you if they ask question from this kind of twist, because you know that these days pattern of the GATE is already changed, and there will be a multiple selective question, and who knows that whether this dancing Baylor yeah, the concept of the dancing Baylor twist is asked over there or not. So that will be much helpful for you. Whenever you are studying a thing, just try to relate it with the recent papers, whether there will be any kind of recent progress has occurred in this topic or not. So that will be much helpful to you, because nowadays NET and GATE examination is getting a bit more difficult, not difficult, bit more different, and that is why candidates are facing so many problems. So if you are familiar with the research paper or the current research work, what actually happening these days, and so that will be to some extent helpful for you, it will add some flavor for your preparation. Okay, so that's all for today. Hope you have just understood all the topics clearly. So if you like my video, then please share and subscribe. Thank you. Happy learning.